FullMetalTastic.
Here we are with another reaction from the hidden one. This one is for parkour. Last one was for exploration. I know I'm going backwards, but you get it how you live, right? I don't know. I pressed my space button and nothing happened. So I was like, did I just stop the recording? No, I didn't.
God damn, it was about time. We finally got a brand new look at parkour gameplay for Assassin's Creed Shadows. This was the one part of the game that I was the most concerned about, because it's an open world feudal Japan game, and we are far from great parkour in this franchise, so it would seem like more of an afterthought.
Facts.
And after reading through the article and seeing the footage, I'll admit, it looks pretty hit and miss if I'm being honest, except for a few things. I mean, they didn't even show any
it looked like they did little due diligence.
The visuals though are impressive, so that's always a positive. Now, as you might already know, Ubisoft plans to release 4 articles focusing on different aspects of the game. Stealth.
Wait, I don't know why I didn't pause when I was trying to pause it. But wait, y'all seen that backwards leap of faith I just told y'all? Assassin's Creed 2? I was doing that. I was one of the first. So to see that just now? And I can't really say it's a leap of faith, right? I mean, it is a leap of faith because they ain't had no tall ass builders. But y'all know what I mean.
Combat, parkour and exploration. I've already made videos covering the first 2, and now a month later we finally have some parkour gameplay to go over. That said, the lack of marketing has been very frustrating, but no jinx. I believe we're about to see a lot more Assassin's Creed Shadows related content in the coming days and even weeks leading up to launch. In fact, Tom Henderson, one of the most reliable insiders, mentioned that the marketing plans were outlined to the Shadows team just before Christmas. Now make of that what you will. Anyway, before we dive into the parkour gameplay, I just want to mention that I'm so close to hitting 100,000 subscribers.
Oh yeah, I just highlighted that in the last video.
Be sure to hit that subscribe button to stay updated on everything Assassin's Creed and more. I also plan to cover Ghost of Yotei when the time comes.
Yes.
With that said, let's take a closer look at the parkour article.
Yotei.
Let's start with the first part of the article, which goes over some basics on controller mapping.
Is she playing Call of Duty?
The core of the parkour system is very familiar to what we all know from the previous RPG genre of Assassin's Creed. So of course, if you expect any Ezio trilogy level of parkour, well, I'm afraid that is long gone. But for a game that is the next gen of Assassin's Creed, I will admit I expected more from this article. But hey, maybe they're not showing everything to us. Now starting off, there's your standard parkour up button to climb walls or leap across gaps, and a parkour down button for smooth descents. But what is different is how Ubisoft has tweaked these controls. So what they've done is merge dodge and parkour down into one button, which sounds simple but opens up a lot of possibilities, like dodging over railings or silently dropping down behind enemies. Basically, they word it as unlocking a whole bunch of new parkour moves. One positive I will say though is it's not as basic as it was in the past few games, where it seemed very dumbed down. It does feel more like you need to time certain moves to keep up your momentum and make the most of your surroundings. Now in terms of what's new for parkour, there's of course the revamped buttons that I mentioned, which by the way, if we can take a look at this image, it says ally abilities in the top right. So I guess it's confirmed that we can control our shinobi recruits abilities, which sounds very interesting, and I do wonder how such a thing will work. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, in terms of what's new, there's also a recovery roll and directional dodges. In terms of the recovery roll, let's say you're landing from somewhere high up. If you press the dodge button mid-landing, it will trigger a recovery roll.
So that's
noise.
Man,
that's a small addition, but
that's low key. Like if you real life played the Ezios, the Altairs and all that, bro, all you had to do was press the B on Xbox, circle on PlayStation, and you do a little roll if you know, like, come on, like because that was a tackle button, right? Yeah, come on, I've been doing this. I ain't new to this. I'm true to this.
I can tell that this will make parkour feel more responsive and satisfying. In terms of the directional dodges, the dodge button now lets you pull off these kind of stylish directional moves. Of course, this is not a forced feature, so you can just descend in the classic way. I will say, in comparison to the months old footage where they showed off Naue flipping and it looked pretty sticky, it does seem improved in that regard. Although I would not say it's anything groundbreaking.
It still looks a little mechanical, right? But
now the next part of the article goes over sprinting, which yes, sounds very basic, but there are a few things that are worth mentioning that seem pretty interesting. So no more is sprinting simply just, holding down a button to move faster. It's now tied to specific moves that depend on which character you're playing as, whether it's Yasuke or Naue. But of course in this article, they don't show any Yasuke clips for some reason. Also, can we just acknowledge how goddamn fast Naue is in this clip? They were not lying when they said that she's the fastest assassin, because damn, she could outsprint any assassin by the looks of it. Now the first thing is now it's
not Connor, not Connor.
Obstacles like fences or
Connor was a beast, bro.
And pretty much obstacles that are
Ezio was fast too in his heyday. I feel like
doing this is useful for.
I feel like in Revelations they made Ezio a little bit faster. I'm like, bro, you old, bro, you unk, and you still moving like you a YN. Make it make sense.
Escaping enemy projectiles, which sounds about right, and performing replay-worthy escapes. You can also use the sprint dodge to manually jump from a spot higher, but it's more risky and you will take fall damage when landing without a recovery roll, which if you remember is what I showed earlier, which allows Nawe to roll whilst landing. There's also automatic passovers. So for example, Nawe can automatically vault over them without breaking her stride. This is very simple, but it keeps your movement smooth. Oh, and Yasuke can do this too, but they described it as less elegantly than Nawe, which again sounds about right. I mean, he's a goddamn giant.
He's a big guy, bro.
Sprinting in this article has to do with Yasuke. This is something we already know, which is Yasuke's shoulder tackle. We of course know that Yasuke isn't as nimble as Nawe, but he's got brute strength on his side. He can smash through destructible objects like doors or crates while sprinting.
So he's
One
a
thing
brute.
to note is that both characters can also switch stances while sprinting. So for example, if Nawe is sprinting full speed and you decide to press the crouch button, she will perform a knee slide and will now be in a crouch position. Also, let's say you're sprinting full speed and you decide to go prone. Both Nawe and Yasuke will simply dive into the ground at a halt.
It's the fact that you could go prone,
goes over another thing that we know, which is the grapple hook. I mean, it wouldn't be a game without Shinobi.
Shout out to Chris Smooth. We putting
right?
people on a mattress.
The grapple hook in this game will feel like a natural part of the parkour system instead of a gimmick. Of course, there is the vertical ascending with it, so you can hook onto a ledge and climb up, giving you even more options for scaling buildings instead of just climbing traditionally. In terms of hook swings, you simply swing across gaps. You can even control your momentum and direction to nail those hard to reach spots. They did mention that there are numerous grapple points across the map, so I do wonder how many exactly, because this does seem like something we're going to use quite often. What's very cool is that you can string more than one hook swing to create advanced setups, but again, it would be even better if they showed us this in the article. And also now we can combine
I remember like in Mirage and stuff, can we get the assassination button like just square, bro?
I assume the grappling hook works exactly like that, but of course way faster. Because you know Nawe is an assassin, not a 38-year-old archaeologist. But one thing is clear, the grapple hook is something we'll be using very often, in fact almost too often. So here's to hoping that mechanic does not get repetitive fast. Now the next part of the article goes over advanced parkour moves, and oh boy, get ready for all of this. It's pretty impressive, I won't lie. What's really interesting is how Shadows handles differences between his two protagonists, in that they don't just feel different in combat, but they also have very different parkour styles. So Nawe, we of course know, is very fast and nimble, and built for speed and acrobatics. Yasuke on the other hand is slower but more powerful. So now that I've said that, this game will introduce new parkour moves as I said earlier, and one of them is stance dodges. So both Nawe and Yasuke have this very cool move where they can dodge in different directions while crouching. It's a very simple but effective way to stay low, avoid getting spotted, and still cover ground quickly.
Let's do this, because
it's a very simple but effective way to stay low, avoid getting spotted, and still cover ground quickly. One thing about this stance dodge feature is that Nawe's dodges can also be done in prone, whereas Yasuke cannot. I will say
Yasuke can't prone?
They reused the same footage from the stealth article, which in my opinion is very lazy and disappointing. You know, it takes a few minutes to get new footage, but hey, do what you gotta do, I guess.
Hit in one side, not too much on them, stop being too critical.
Backward dodge, which I will admit looks very cool. If you're standing with your back to the edge of a structure, you can now tap the parkour down button, and now it will smoothly roll backwards over the edge. With this video, it shows it off by using it in an assassination, which is cool. It will also make your landing on the ground muffled, so perfect for stealth. You know, stealth in this game seems like the best part, if I'm being honest, compared to combat and parkour.
Is healthy.
There's also the high structure parkour safety. Now, let's be honest, we've all had those moments in Assassin's Creed where we misjudge a jump and end up splattered on the ground.
Look at that.
In Shadows, this tackles that problem with a simple but genius feature, high structure safety. So if you try to drop from too high, Nawe will automatically grab the ledge below instead of falling straight down. Now what I will say about this is
because
that
you have to manually do that in the older games.
It makes it a lot more beginner friendly.
And I'm like,
so I don't know how I feel
relearning that as I'm playing through them, right?
When she catches herself is very flashy. Then of course she does a beautiful backflip into the haystack down below, which literally explodes. I mean, my god, as amazing as it appears, that's a bit extreme, is it not? And the last part of the article goes over unclimbable surfaces,
aesthetically
which
pleasing.
thank God is a thing, by the way. Because I don't know about you, but being able to climb literally anything in Assassin's Creed Odyssey felt very silly and broke all sorts of immersion, if you will.
I didn't play
in
Odyssey,
Shadows, not
man.
every surface is climbable.
I
If
feel
a
like I
wall does not
dodged
have
some
handholds,
bullets
you
without
are not getting
playing
up there. Instead of
Valhalla
being
and
able to climb
Odyssey.
anything,
But that's,
you need to
you know,
look for parkour
it's preference.
highways, which are described as intentional routes that guide you to the environment. Now, this is of course a big positive. The design choice makes exploration
I feel like there's a
more
lot of
deliberate.
controls
You'll have to
that we
actually
gonna have
plan
to
where you
learn
go,
in this one.
look for entry points,
That's fine.
and use your tools like now as
When is
grappling hooks
Ghost
to
of Your
move to
Tie
certain
coming out?
areas.
Because I think it's coming out next
So
month.
there we have it. That was the parkour article. I'm very
It's
interested to
coming
know
out
what your
March.
thoughts are with this, because personally, I'm like 60-40 with this, with 60 being positive. I didn't really expect much from this article because of what type of game this is, and I knew parkour wasn't going to be the main focus. That is definitely on combat and the new stealth system. But regardless, it's still
But parkour
fascinating to
should
know.
be a
Of course, the
thing,
last
though.
article is all about exploration, which perfectly fits the theme of this game. So I do expect that article to be a lot longer. If you did enjoy this video, be sure to hit that subscribe button. And with that said, I will see you in the next one.
See you in the next one. Shout out to the hidden.
Yo, go follow Tastic. Go follow Tastic's Twitch, cuz. That man is crazy.